So you saw the title of this video, and you might think that's a little bit controversial because a lot of people don't even know how to use Home Assistant. But as you can see, I'm not at my house. I'm at the Phoenix airport, and I'm on my way to talk to the king of Home Assistant. He literally created it. His name is Paulus, and what I've heard from him so far, I'm convinced that Home Assistant is the future. I made it here to Austin, Texas. I'm here for the Z-Wave Summit, which me, Paulus, and a few others are going to be on a speaking panel, and I'll talk more about that in a second. So as a lot of you probably know, I've been using Home Assistant for the last 3 years, and I absolutely love it. So I'm excited to talk to Paulus about some of the features that are coming in the future that I can get excited about, as well as, some of you who have been hesitant to jump on Home Assistant or maybe have tried it and kind of feel like it's a little too difficult. So what they're doing to address it right now and in the future.
Welcome everybody, live from the Z-Wave Alliance member meeting. My name is Paulus Schoutsen, founder of Home Assistant. No, okay, sorry.
This is Paulus. He created Home Assistant over 10 years ago, right?
It is 10 and a half years ago now.
Well, first, how long did it actually take you to write it, or before you actually published it?
I think it's been like a month or two before I think I actually published it. Like it was just on and off. It was very hacky and it wasn't really meant as a platform.
Oh, hey, what's up? It's Reed from the future. I'm going to be jumping in throughout this interview to share my opinion and help explain things. And it is crazy to hear how Home Assistant started off as a tiny little side project to what it is now.
Now, because of the company that makes Home Assistant hardware, runs Home Assistant Cloud, we have 33 people working on it. They work full-time on Home Assistant, but also ESP Home. We work on voice projects like Piper, Text-to-Speech. We have the people working on Matter, all that stuff.
It makes sense why Home Assistant can do so much. They have a lot of really smart people working on it full-time, as well as a massive open source community contributing as well. But you can't have a system reach mass adoption on just a lot of features. It has to be easy to use as well. So they've been hiring.
The people that are joining, actually, I'm super excited about. One is a UX researcher. So she is currently doing her thesis on like secondary users in the smart home. So, the users of our users, which really lines up with like the roadmap work, right? Like we just announced like the roadmap in the State of the Open Home. We're going to really focus on the home approval factor. So we want to have home-approved dashboard, allowing people to create dashboards not just for themselves, but for their partners or other people visiting the house. Home-approved automations, like how can we create automations that, work for everyone? It's not just like one person that likes it, the other person is always annoyed.
Boosting spouse approval factor, I love to see it. Home Assistant has gotten much easier to use recently. I don't know if you've seen some of the updates like the drag and drop dashboard. It's so much easier to use and saves so much time. Like anyone can create a customized dashboard now. You don't have to be technical. Not only that, but automations are about to get easier too.
When people automate, it's like we give them a blank slate and we're like, go think of something you want to automate. But actually, as a user, they often want us to just tell them, make suggestions. And so if you think about it, you have a garage door. The odds that you want a notification when you leave it open are very high. We should just be able to suggest that. Same for leaks. Like, why would you have to set up your own battery alerts, your own leak alerts? Like, that kind of stuff should just work.
I love this. And the reason I started my smart home journey 7 years ago with SmartThings is for how straightforward it is. So if Home Assistant gets a lot of the same features, it's going to be difficult to recommend anything besides it, especially when you hear what Paulus wants to do with dashboards in the future.
We want people that create cool dashboards actually be able to share it. If you look at today, you go to Reddit, right? It's full of amazing dashboards. People post the coolest stuff, but then people are like, how do I get this? And it's like, well, you got to install hacks, download this custom card, edit this YAML, this, that. It's too difficult. People are lost.
This would be so helpful. And I recently toured Dan Dixon's house, who has an extremely good dashboard. And I did a video on it recently. And if you haven't seen it, you should definitely go check it out. But a lot of people were asking Dan to share his dashboard because they wanted to implement a lot of the features. So this idea of dashboard blueprints is awesome because people could share their dashboard and you won't have to be a programmer to have all these cool features. Plus, it could help inspire us to think of new ideas that maybe we hadn't thought of before.
I think for blueprints, like I would love, for example, there to be a barbecue dashboard, a plant dashboard. Like, oh, maybe you're really into plants, you're growing stuff. Well, that is something that you want to have monitor, and like how much, when you need to water, when did you last water, did it rain, can we skip the sprinkling? All these kind of bring everything in a single package and allow people to create and then share that. I think that would be awesome.
Now, switching gears, I know that AI is talked about way too much, but what Home Assistant is doing is way different. You have to see this.
We have big plans for AI, not because we have solutions, but because we have the local data. What we're thinking is that if you can run your AI local, then you don't have to think about the cost of sending it to OpenAI, because you run it local, so the cost it's almost free except for electricity. And so what we're actually building right now is an experimentation platform.
So you might be thinking, okay, AI running locally in my house sounds great, but I have Home Assistant running on a Raspberry Pi. How is that going to handle local AI?
NVIDIA reached out to us and they're like, you guys have a local smart home data. The team that reached out to us, they used Home Assistant, of course. So they knew the platform very well. And they're like, well, listen, we make NVIDIA Jetson, which is a platform to run locally large language models. What if we make that compatible with Home Assistant? And so they've actually been working. It's called the Jetson AI Research Lab. They meet every 2 weeks. They've been improving the AI models that run on Jetson to make them compatible with Home Assistant. We implemented Olama for the local large language model API, and they now got Olama also running on the Jetson such that it can be used with Home Assistant. So they're putting a lot of effort in making Home Assistant be able to consume whatever is running on the Jetson.
This is extremely exciting to think about, and Home Assistant stores so much data. Like every time a device is turned on or off, it writes it to the database, and it knows if it was done manually or from an automation. So AI can look through all that data and figure out our habits, suggest automations that we don't have yet, write those automations. I mean, the possibilities are endless, and we could get so much more out of the devices we have because it can think of things that we never thought of before. So it's super exciting to think about, but there is a catch.
The only downside I have to say about this NVIDIA Jetson thing is that the new Orin board, it starts at $600 and it goes all the way up to $2,000. Now, if you talk to the team, they're like, well, yeah, I mean, it's expensive GPUs. And they think that just like you have a network area storage, like a NAS in your house, you might have just an AI box in your house that can facilitate not just Home Assistant, but maybe you'll have other applications in the future that all can leverage the same AI box.
This is a fun scenario to think about, and I'm curious to hear if you would want some kind of AI box in your own home. Let me know down in the comments. Personally, I would want a local AI box running everything in my own house because it's not just about the cost.
To give an AI system full access to your smart home, full access to control your smart home, full access to the history, you want to be able to know where this data goes, right? And so with Home Assistant, it's all private, it's all local. So you can feel comfortable if you run a local large language model, you know where the data is going to, you know who will have access to it. It doesn't end up in some history of your chat log with ChatGPT, and who knows if they're going to train on top of that again.
Yikes, I don't want AI being trained on the data in my own home for other people's home. And this is coming from someone who uploads videos of their own smart home to the internet. So that should tell you something. So I mentioned earlier in the video that I was on a speaking panel with Paulus and a few others, and we were talking about AI. And we had some really good discussions. I don't think AI is going to be used in our smart home to make real-time decisions. There's too many issues with hallucinations and AI just going haywire and doing crazy things in our home. I think AI will be used to help us set up things in our smart home, and then we make the decisions. So it's not as scary. Well, at least that's what I hope for anyways. But Paulus wasn't there just to talk about AI.
Yeah, so we're actually here in Austin at the Z-Wave Member Alliance. And the reason we're here as Home Assistant, as Nabu Casa, is because Z-Wave is not that, right? Like there's a lot of hype about Matter. Everybody's like Matter this, Matter that. But to be honest, there's two fully working standards today, Zigbee and Z-Wave. Now, with Home Assistant or with Nabu Casa, I have to say, last year, or has it been 2 years ago already, we introduced the Home Assistant Sky Connect. And recently at the State of the Open Home, we've rebranded this. Now it's called the Home Assistant Connect ZBT1. And Home Assistant Connect is going to be our line of connectivity sticks to make Home Assistant talk to other protocols. And the next stick that we are working on is actually a Z-Wave stick. So one of the cool things at this summit is that all the manufacturers are here and they're all bringing their end devices, their latest prototypes, the latest chips, and we're doing range tests. So we went to the river here in Austin and we were trying to okay, we have a Z-Wave Classic and Z-Wave Long Range, which is the new Z-Wave standard that is also coming to Home Assistant soon. And we actually got to 0.7 miles, which is like 1.13 kilometers.
And that's only using Z-Wave Classic. Now, that is just line of sight that they were testing, but after this interview, they were testing on multiple floors of the hotel, and they were showing me some of the results, and they seem pretty good, so very cool. All right, going back to the title of this video, I think Home Assistant is the future for how fast they're improving. They have big updates coming out every single month, and no other smart home system even comes close. And at the rate that they're improving, I think that they're going to be the best system with the most features and the easiest to use. Plus, on top of all that, everything is private and local, which is very important to people. And so for that reason, I think Home Assistant is the future. And I had so much fun at the Z-Wave Summit. I learned a lot about Z-Wave Long Range, which I'll be covering more on the channel soon, so keep an eye out for that. And thanks for watching. You think that Home Assistant, potentially down the road, paired with AI, could block Justin Bieber from playing in my house? Do you think that's possible?
I saw someone in the community of doing this, right? He would play Serious Exam on the Sonos, and every artist, every song change, he would send the artist to a large language model and say, is this country? Answer only yes or no. And then in his automation, if the answer was yes, skip song. So it's already possible today, and yeah.
All right, so Justin Bieber's gonna be banned.